Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back for another Total War video with the Terminator. Now, so far in the Total War series, we've had Roman, Medieval, Feudal Japanese, Han Dynasty Chinese, we've had the Trojan War and the Hun invasion of Europe, and of course we've had 17th and 18th century European wars with the Empire and Napoleon games. And with all the mods that have been made in between and some still in development now, Total War has actually covered quite a few historical periods and settings. But there are still plenty that haven't been done yet that I think have some insane potential. Regions and conflicts that are just as promising, if not more so, than what we've had before, and in this video I'd like to share a few with you that I think if Creative Assembly decided to make a new historical Total War with, could be absolutely amazing. So let's dive straight into it. There's absolutely no doubt that the Bronze Age is a period of intense conflict and social and technological development, filled with a large variety of cultures and styles of warfare that, while quite basic, of course, compared to later history, is all ripe for some incredible Total War gameplay. Mods like Bronze Age for Crusader Kings 3, or indeed the Age of Bronze mod currently in development for Rome 2, are perfect examples of how much fun a campaign can be in this period and how immersed the player could be in the battles. Between the pharaohs of Egypt, the Hittites, Babylonians, and the Sumer of Anatolia and the Levant, and of course the very early Greek cultures of the Mycenaeans and Athens and others, there is so much potential for replayability, for unique mechanics that fit the time period, like massively impactful technological progress, seasonal weather impact on food and production, and not to mention the slow development of trade, cultural exchange, and even turn-delayed diplomacy, or just general communications between factions. Above all else, though, of course, there is the perfect endgame crisis, the elusive Sea People, with plenty of theories about their origins from the Black Sea to Italy to even as north as raiding Celtic and Germanic tribes. The possibilities of making this faction in this endgame scenario unique, menacing, and as destructive as historians claim they were is just too good to pass up. Imagine playing as Egypt, the only culture to really survive this invasion, and 100 turns in getting reports of cities being pillaged and destroyed in Greece, whole civilizations collapsing across the board, grappling with drought and political turmoil. You would have a crazy time trying to prepare yourself against the ultimate crisis, a true threat to civilization. You have to admit the Bronze Age would be a perfect time for Total War, with, for me, the only weak area being potentially the battles. Cavalry was scarce, and while this is a time when chariots were first deployed properly in warfare, it's extremely primitive compared to what we've seen before, so this would be heavily focused on infantry gameplay. Nevertheless, I'd love to see it happen. Now, the best Total Wars always make excellent use of technological progress as a core part of their gameplay, and Pike and Shot warfare is exactly the kind of development that would be a perfect setting for a Total War game. With mods like Pike and Shot for Napoleon and now another one in development for Shogun 2, by the way, that provides a glimpse into what it could really be like. There is ample proof of concept of why this is an excellent period in history to make a Total War game around. Pike and Shot is such an interesting style because it combines two completely different kinds of warfare in a way that gave the First Nations to use it a huge advantage over their enemies. Pikes would hold their flanks and rear of a moving gun regiment as their regiment fires on their foes ahead, with albeit not a lot of accuracy, but this is still close combat warfare as the two sides close in on each other with Pike versus Pike melee battles. Cavalry was also hugely effective against out-of-position infantry, and cannons were very prominent in this time period as well. This is also quite a colonial setting. As much as the European powers were neck to neck in Europe, plenty of major wars and historical battles occurred in the Americas and in the Far East, which would allow for a pretty large map in a Total War game of this setting. With a big focus on technological development, intrigue, of course, political and diplomatic, and espionage and colonialism, this could be a proper type of prequel to Empire Total War, in which the mechanics are far more polished, hopefully, and the AI is a lot better as well. There's absolutely no doubt Pike and Shot would make for a brilliant Total War game, and while unit and faction variety might be on the low side in comparison to other potential settings, other areas would make up for that and more to make this game definitely one of the best in the series. Hell, you could even have saga games or DLC campaigns based on it with a full 30 years war, or better yet, the transition from Pike and Shot to linear line infantry warfare. The potential here is actually amazing, and I would love to see this happen. Now, finally, we have the mother of all potential Total Wars that I think, for me anyway, would work the best out of everything CA could develop in the future out of the three ideas that I'm presenting here today. The Indian subcontinent rarely gets represented in games like these, so what I'm proposing in this last idea is a proper India or even a Mongol invasion Total War. In either scenario, you could have a start date of around the 1200s and the map reach as far west as medieval Europe, so there's still a bit of a medieval in there. You could have the map reach as far east as Japan to include the Mongol invasions of those areas, and more importantly, you could have the Indian Wars front and center with a Mongol invasion endgame roughly 80 to 100 turns into your campaign. This time period here in this region would make for some incredible conflicts and wars with the Delhi Sultanate versus the Sauna dynasty, the fall of the Guptas, and of course the rise of colonialism with the Portuguese and Dutch. You could have the Mongol and Timurid invasions, of course, and with a map that extends out to Europe in the west and to Japan in the east, there is a serious amount of replayability across the board with multiple cultures, religions, styles of rosters, warfare, naval warfare, of course, could make great use of these current cultures as well, and economic development with some cultures favoring trade, others farming, and others just plain expansion. There is so much potential here, it's insane. India or Mongol Total War would be an incredible game that can encapsulate a lot of what fans want from a new historical, as well as touching on some new time periods, new regions, and catering to a larger audience. And for me, it's an absolutely no-brainer. Out of all three of these games, personally, I would say Bronze Age probably has the most interesting and unique style, where gameplay mechanics can really be unique and different, and the endgame crisis can be truly something terrifying, maybe akin to Attila Total War with the Hun invasion, while Pike and Shot could be a brilliant prequel to Empire, and India/Mongol Total War could be a great setting for a new medieval game. There's plenty of opportunity for each of these ideas, plenty of room for innovation, improvement over previous games, and space to just impress the Total War community and overall gaming community as well. Whether it is in reality an Empire 2 or Medieval 3 that CA are working on right now, I do sincerely hope that one of the games I've talked about today happens one day, because they could be truly great games, especially with the latest progress in modding development and the visual spectacle of modern Total Wars. Hopefully CA does make them happen. And that's it for today, guys. I wanted to run through some of my ideas for some potential future historical Total Wars, but I'd love to hear what you think about these games and what you think about what potential historical games could be made as well. I hope you enjoyed the video today and found it informative. If you did, do give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more Total War content just like this. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.